You dummies! You dummies! Like, this is just typical peak Bears football if there ever has been an epitomization of it. When you want them to win, they lose. When you want them to lose, they win. Never win enough games to truly be an absolute contender. Never lose enough games intentionally to truly tank to where they can actually turn the franchise around. Just typical Chicago Bears football bullshit to the nth degree. That's what we got today. Now leave it to me to get my hopes all up here. I'm thinking that, hey, maybe the football gods were shining kindly on the Chicago Bears organization, Chicago Bears fans. They had already, lost their last 6 games in a row, exposing them for what I've been talking about all year, what they really were, not the fluke-ass 5-1 start. Thinking, hey, why kill a good thing? You've been losing for almost a month and a half plus now every week. Why not have the courage? Finish it out. Go 5-11. See what happens. But no. After losing 6 games in a row, the Bears decide, arguably, that they're going to pick on the depleted Houston Texans today and play what has to be considered their best game of the year. Like, if you didn't know any better, you'd tune in to watch this game today and you would say, what the hell is the problem here? How the hell is this team 5-7 going into this game? As Mitchell Trubisky looks like the star, not Deshaun Watson, although that's misleading. And that's just something that dumb Bears fans try to tell themselves after watching today. As Trubisky actually had talent around him on offense, Deshaun Watson did not. And the Bears' defense, while early on, trying to validate just how bad of a defensive coordinator Chuck Pagano is, hey, they decided that they were going to pretty much impose this will on this Texans team that offensively was incredibly depleted. I mean, from Jump Street, after holding the Texans on the first drive, first offensive play of the game, it's an 80-yard touchdown run by David Montgomery. Where the hell did this come from? Now, never mind the fact he only averaged a little over 2 yards a carry for his other attempts the rest of the game. Now, that's more of the Bears football we've gotten used to under Matt Nagy the past couple of years. But, what the hell are you doing? No! It's cool to see Montgomery breaking a big run like that. For sure, that is in theory exciting to see. It's like later on in the game, you see Darnell Mooney almost, he gets in and you're sitting there and you're saying, man, imagine if he had a legit quarterback to work with. Imagine if this dude had an offensive coordinator that knew what the hell he was doing on a consistent basis. Darnell Mooney could be really something nice. And while those are kind of the feel-good moments of reassuring you with hope for the future, there is no hope. Because this is the disaster nightmare scenario. Instead of what should have happened, which is Deshaun Watson coming into Chicago and obliterating this Bears team and sending a message to Ryan Pace and that front office about how bad they screwed up. Now the Bears get some foolish confidence out of beating a crappy Houston Texans team, one that invested between picks and trays, multiple first-rounders in that offensive line, and they couldn't protect Deshaun Watson to save a damn lick. For God's sakes, the Bears' pass rush actually looked nice today. That should not be a reflection of the Bears' defense. That should be a reflection of just how bad this Houston Texans offensive line was today and how bad that team is and how depleted they are at the skill positions. Because you got no Randall Cobb. You've got no Brandon Cooks. Will Fuller's suspended. You basically were taking on Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans B team on offense. Hey, you better come out and do what you did today. And at least they did, I guess, if that's what you want to take out of this as a positive. But there's nothing positive about this. I shouldn't have to unleash the Jeff Jinx to make this happen. Should we just be able to speak something into existence that I want this? That I want the Bears to lose the rest of their games this year because I'm tired of the mediocrity. Them winning games like this today in blown-out fashion against other crappy teams does not make them a good team. It just means that they beat a crappier team. You get me? I can't imagine looking at this game today and thinking all of a sudden, miraculously, the Chicago Bears, after losing 6 games in a row, have Figured it out, by God! Trubisky's great now, and their play calling's outstanding, and their offensive line's at least going to be able to somewhat block in the running game, at least for one play, and somewhat protect Trubisky in the passing game. And their defense is actually going to be able to get pressure with their pass rush. Like, I can't imagine looking at this game, and after seeing this team for the past 2 months and thinking to yourself, oh, you know, they're going to turn it around, by God, and this is the start of something truly special. It's not. You dummies, sit down. And that's a shot to me at the Bears fans that are going to fall into this crap, hook, line, and sinker. It's to the Bears Twitter heads, the Bears media. They're going to try and sit there and open the door to playoff possibilities and all this other crap, when all the while everybody knows, stop being stupid, this team sucks. And all these meaningless wins do is make this organization a loser in the long term, which, to the credit of Bears fans, that's all they know is the mediocrity of the McCaskey way. All they know is about being losers. So why would this year, I guess, be any frickin' different? And this is like the ultimate doomsday nightmare scenario to me. It's like I could see this coming. Like deep down. They beat the Texans. Then in week 15, they beat the Vikings. Then they snuff out Minshew Magic in week 16, and they beat the Jags. And all of a sudden, this team's sitting there at 8-7. And if they beat the Packers in week 17, then they have a shot to get in the playoffs. And then Rodgers and crew are going to rock them and boat race them. And these dummies will finish 8-8 again with a pick in the middle of the first round again. Out of the running to get a real franchise-changing quarterback again. Possibly Matt Nagy staying, Ryan Pace staying, possibly Ted Phillips staying. Like, every nightmare scenario that could happen for the Chicago Bears team is still possible because of this meaningless garbage-ass victory today. I know some of you could say it's just based on perspective. And the perspective is that the Texans looked so bad because the Bears were so great today. And if that's what you need to tell yourself to make yourself feel better about contributing to this delinquency of stupidity, then so be it. But you're not going to get that from me. Like, this is a nightmare scenario, folks. It absolutely is. You know, you're going to sit there, and if anything, I will say for you Texans fans, if any of you thought or were entertaining the thought of keeping Romeo Crennel next year as your head coach, you have hopefully officially buried that stupidity once and for all. Yeah, let that fossil retire and get them the hell out of there. He stepped up and did the good thing, helped you to get Bob out of there this year, but no, you do not want any parts of this, and today's performance is exactly why. Like, you have Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt, and you're getting boat race 36-7. You absolutely, positively suck. I don't care how much you're depleted on offense. I don't care how bad your defense is. Like, you looked atrocious. You made Mitchell Trubisky look good today. You made the Bears' play calling look good today. You made the Bears' offense look really good today and exciting. And all the while, to me, ironically enough, it was a really boring game in the inverse from what I used to. I'm used to the Bears' offense not doing a damn thing. I'm used to the Bears' offense stinking up the joint and the team being way behind and being bored to tears with their style of play. Today, in a bubble, like, if you're a Bears fan, in theory, you should feel like you let out a lot of bad juju today, and you let out a lot of bad vibes, lots of positive energy there, because your offense did big things. You put up 36 points. Your defense was getting sacks and forcing turnovers, and, you know, this feels like it was a get-right performance. So for many of you, it probably was exciting. I can't help it, though. I've set my mind so much on the need to lose them all, fellas. Every win you get screws up the future that much more. Now, as I sit there and I'm watching Deshaun Watson try, but he's not going to have enough. Nobody could with that crappy Texans team and the depleted talent he had on offense. And as I watch the Texans defense, you know, sit there and their inability to maintain gap discipline was equaled by their inability to cover and exceeded by their inability to tackle at a professional level. It was really bad. But this win, like even now for the Bears fans that want to celebrate this, you dummies. Even winning this game, they're still not one of the 7 teams in. Like, that to me is the doomsday scenario that came to be. That's why I didn't want to see this 17 playoff stuff. I get it and I understand it in a normal year. Totally makes sense. Why not put one more team in the playoffs? It's still less than half of the league in your playoffs. That's okay. Because it's stuff like this. It gives teams like the Bears, who should have no hope at all, it gives them hope that they shouldn't have. So they win games they shouldn't win. So they end up in the middle of the pack in the draft, and then we're completing the same cycle over and over and over again. Like, if you want to be really optimistic right now, the Bears finish 9-7 because they're 6-7 right now. So they win those last 3 games. And even then, that's still no guarantee that they get into the playoffs. They lose one of their last 3, which they most certainly would seem to be likely to at least do that. They're going to finish 8-8, which certainly would be enough to keep them out of the playoffs. And if they lose, let's say, to Minnesota and Green Bay, then they're 7-9 because they beat the Jags in Week 16 and don't give a crap. And what are you looking at? Picking in the middle of round 1. Ugh. This is the worst. Because there is no joy in this victory because it means nothing. Even if they win out the rest of their games, even if they make the playoffs, like by some miracle of stupidity and other teams in front of them in the playoff race fall flat on their faces, they're not going anywhere. And all it does is screw up the future for this organization. So you have to forgive me for being mad at these dummies for winning this meaningless-ass game today, and all the while getting all of you to sit there and talk on social media about the potential and the chances and opportunities that they have to still make the playoffs when they'll get there and do absolutely nothing. Oh, I hate being a Bears fan sometimes. For those of you of the younger generations, run. Go away. Find a new team. It's not too late. And before any of you cheeseheads come into the video, watch it, get a good chuckle out of it, and you certainly are entitled to. Before you start sitting there and talking too much trash about your Packers, just be forewarned of this. I don't want to be alone in my misery. Like, you've got a Hall of Fame quarterback. You've got a chance to do something. I will pick your team right now to win the effing Super Bowl. I will get behind them. I will tell everybody here and far, narrow, wide, doesn't matter the scope, that the Green Bay Packers are going to be Super Bowl champions. I will put the Jeff jinx on you. I will absolutely do that. And that is not an idle threat. I will put that Jeff jinx on you, and you might as well call the season a fucking wrap because you ain't winning shit. You'll go to the playoffs and lose your first playoff game. That's the power of the Jeff jinx. You keep talking your shit. Keep it up. Those idiotic Packers fans, ooh, look at the Bears winning, so that way it keeps them out of getting a range and getting a quarterback. All right, yuck it up. Yuck it up. Yuck it up. I don't know what's worse, never finding a franchise quarterback or actually having one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time and being so stupid that you can only win one Super Bowl with them. You want to keep it up? You want to get nuts? I will put that Jeff jinx on you. You've been warned. I think I got to change up the approach though for the Bears. Like, this is getting scary. This is getting serious. Like, these idiots are going to actually start to think that they can win. So I got to figure out something. Maybe I got to put the Jeff jinx on them for Week 15.